This Pit Boss FoodMaxx 250 Betting Picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog. Get up to a $1,000 deposit match when you sign up at UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code RACE SGPN.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'm just gonna put my foot on the floor and I'm not lifting till I see God or a checkered flag.
My man.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
We want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa. In Jesus' name, boogity, boogity, boogity.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome in to another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. Cody, we are back, my friend, for an Xfinity Series episode from the beautiful Sonoma Raceway for the Pit Boss FoodMaxx 250. I'm get tongue-tied when you say Pit Boss. I don't know why. It just couldn't come out when we were doing the ad reads, but here we are. Pit Boss FoodMaxx 250 from the beautiful Sonoma Raceway, Cody, in Sonoma, California.
Oh, I had the name of the race completely written down wrong on my sheet, Rod. I had the SVG 250 written down, but I guess maybe that's not what it is.
Well, JB agrees with you already right off the bat. Cody, is SVG locked in the playoffs yet? You said he wasn't before Chicago.
Yes. He was not. Despite what they'll tell you on TV, and now they're all guilty of it. Fox, NBC, TNT, Prime, NASCAR, I think, has even tweeted about people being locked in the playoffs. You're not locked in the playoffs with a win. It's not a win and you're in. If we have 17 winners or 16 winners and the regular season champ is a winner, or is the regular season champ is not a winner, they're locked in as well. So if you had 16 winners plus that or 17 winners, somebody's not getting in. They don't just expand the field. Well, they did that one time for Jeff Gordon a long, long time ago, but they don't just expand the field. So you're not locked in mathematically when there was, I think last week there was 7 races to go. You already had 12 different winners. So yes, now with 2 wins, you're locked in, because if they're going to bounce somebody, it's a 1-win person that gets bounced. But it I don't know why it pisses me off so much, Rod, but they just throw the word locked in or out like they're locked in, but they're not. What are they going to do? And I hope it happens, because I want to see them all eat crow one day. But they say locked in. Like, oh, we won the Daytona 500. He's locked in. And then that guy gets bounced out of the playoffs because we get too many winners. And it's like, well, you said they were locked in. What happened? Well, they're not locked in, because that's not how it works.
No, and honestly, too, that's one of those things where, we use the term locked in, and I almost feel it's like when Inigo Montoya, he's like, I think you keep on using that word. I do not think you know what that word means. That's really what it ultimately ends up being for that. But
I mean, like, in theory, right? You've likely secured your playoff spot, because we've not come to a point where we've had more winners. Although 2022, I think we had 15 in the regular season, and we ended up with 17 or 18 by the end of the season, with a couple of new guys winning in the playoffs too. So it's not like it's crazy. I mean, we've had 12 already. I think SVG was the 12th winner at Mexico. So I mean, there's guys like Tyler Reddick that haven't won races. Guys like Kyle Busch that haven't won races. Like, there's big names that haven't won races. So it's just how it is, but whatever.
And of course, as we talked about it earlier in the Cup episode, these guys actually stand a chance to win those races. So we'll see just exactly, what they've got in the tank, like guys like Kyle Busch, right? Guys like even Brad Keselowski, if you want to start tossing his name out there every once in a while. There's a lot of guys out there that have a chance.
Daytona still left in the regular season. So there's a decent chance that produces a new winner, whether it's a Harrison Burton like last year, right? Or it could be somebody that's already won as well. But always a possibility. So I just hate when they use locked in. But Ash checked in, Rod, said, evening, lads. A bit too late for me today. Sorry, Ash. Got to be up for Tour de France Stage 6. Deja vu with SVG and Zilisch. Has anyone won back-to-back races 2 weeks in a row for Xfinity and Cup before? I've not seen an official stat, although JDK says that it would be a first. But I would imagine that's probably never been done. I mean, Kyle Busch has had some crazy runs where he, swept the whole weekend with trucks and Xfinity and Cup. I think he's done that twice. But I don't know that it's ever been done back-to-back weekends winning all 4 races. And, I mean, if you put actual odds on that happening, it's got to be some pretty high odds, right? And this is the perfect scenario for it to happen, I think, with SVG and with these tracks that are here. But I still don't think it's going to be easy.
Well, it definitely won't be easy. Nothing is easy in NASCAR. And I do remember them saying on the broadcast that nobody's won both races on the weekend, both back to back to back. So, nobody's ever done it before. And all hail SVGis if that is the case that happily it does. But while you're at it and you want to listen to other stuff other than us, if that something you want to do, you can get every podcast that comes out on the SGPN network on the feed by subscribing to it wherever you get your podcasts. Wherever you're getting this one right now, just look for the SGPN feed out there, and you can find all of our other podcasts that are sprinkled out there. You like baseball, you like basketball, you like MMA, you like golf, you like soccer. There's anything for you out there and more, including this one. So make sure you go get and subscribe to the SGPN feed. Well, Cody, like we said, it is the Sonoma Raceway. I am going to be happy enough to be out there at least on Sunday and quite possibly now on Saturday. There's been developments happening over here in this side of the world that may make it possible for me to be able to make it out there on Saturday. So may have some Xfinity action for you guys as well.
Yeah, that would be awesome if you are able to get out there. I hope that it all works out for you and you're able to show up, because I think that would be a great time.
Yeah, me too. And for Xfinity too, this is only the third time that they're ever going to be out there. So I get to witness a little bit of history.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Xfinity didn't run here traditionally. The Truck Series was always the companion race here. They switched that back in 23. So we've only had 2 Xfinity races here at Sonoma, at least in modern history. I can't remember. I feel like that might have been the first time Xfinity ever went there. I don't remember if they went there back in the day, but anytime recently, it's just been the previous 2 years.
Yeah, no, it was only 2 years ago that the Xfinity made their first start out there, believe it or not. And that's crazy to think, right? Because we always think about that being a pretty heavy weekend for racing, and really it's only been the trucks and the Cup Series, and it's crazy to think Xfinity didn't get to have the fun out there, but now they do. Obviously, we know Eric Almirola won the first one, and then it was Shane van Gisbergen who won last year in Sonoma. So we get to maybe see a new winner, maybe not.
Maybe not, Rod.
All right. Well then, Cody. Is there any news that happened between now and yesterday?
Yeah, there is one piece of news. The 2311 front row, another development over there. The appeals court that they were just most recently filed their appeal in said, no, you cannot be running as chartered teams this year while you continue to fight the lawsuit. So now that has happened, I believe that ruling goes into effect a week after the ruling or whatever is when it would take place. So a week from today, next Wednesday, they will no longer be chartered teams, both 2311 and front row. What does that mean? That means they'll have to run as open cars. We go through the list every week. Oh, this many cars for that race, whatever. So they will have to, they're not guaranteed into the race. So, last weekend at Chicago, the 45 of Tyler Reddick wouldn't have been guaranteed into the race. SVG wouldn't have been guaranteed into the race, but Wallace wouldn't have been guaranteed into the race. Riley Herbst would have been guaranteed into the race. And then the 3 front row guys, Gilliland, Zane Smith, and Gregson wouldn't have been guaranteed. So they could have been one of those drivers that went away. Now, rest of the season, do we have any races that get to 41 entries? Probably not. So they're likely not going to run into an issue there. Daytona next year, there will be more than 40 entries. There is every year for Daytona. And Chicago was actually the first time I think since 2018 we'd seen another race more than that. So that's probably not going to affect them this year much. They will get paid. I said SVG. Yeah, not SVG. Sorry. He's a Trackhouse guy, not a 23. I don't know why. What team was I thinking he was on? I don't know.
It's not hard to get those mixed up.
Yeah, my bad, JDK. That was what I was testing. Make sure you're paying attention. You're awake there in the chat, so glad to hear it. SVG would have been guaranteed another race, but nonetheless, it would have been Suarez, Chastain. Why am I naming Trackhouse cars? It would have been Reddick, but never mind. Whatever. You get the point. You know what I'm talking about. But the other thing is they'll no longer get paid charter money, which is like a third. So the charter teams make 3 times as much as the open teams make. So if you win a race, there's a purse for charter teams. If you win the race, there's a purse for open teams, and they are drastically different. So it's going to hit the teams in the shorts when it comes to the money side of things. But this doesn't affect the lawsuit. The lawsuit's still going to continue. I think they have a court date set in December, so that's going to be all off season. We're going to be talking about the lawsuit and where that goes. So really, in a general sense, the only thing it's probably going to hurt at this point in time is they're going to make less money from the purse, and that's really it. I don't think we're going to run into any issues with them not making races or having stuff like that. And even if they did, let's say they would have been open last week and Tyler Reddick hits the wall and doesn't make the race, like they would have taken so much money to the 66 car or the 78 car and said, hey, let's buy your ride and get that car in, that it wouldn't matter anyways. But yeah, it's just, as the league turns in this lawsuit, just the next layer, I guess.
And what makes this even more interesting is that they're willing to go to the mat for this. And this is I guess NASCAR's way of calling their bluff and saying, all right, fine. You don't want to do it. You gotta take a back seat for this one. So now really where do your loyalties lie? How far are you willing to take this? And what are you willing to do to make this happen? So yeah, I mean, again, this is all on them now. And then I think if they're gonna go this far, then they might as well just see it through, yeah.
Yeah, I think they've already reached that point on the roller coaster where the sign says the point of no return, and I think they're well past that at this point, and just you have to go through with it. I mean, obviously the fallout's going to be interesting. Where the loss, what happens with the lawsuit if they end up settling, or if NASCAR wins, suddenly those 6 charters are potentially back in the pool, and then do they have to repurchase the charters and agree to the charter agreement they lost in court? I don't know. Will they even have the opportunity to do that? Will NASCAR sell to somebody else? That's a whole nother thing that we'll talk about a ton in the offseason.
Yeah, we've passed the point of no return with this, and we're definitely going to watch this all play out. It's the soap opera that we know and love now of NASCAR, and it's one that we'll be following very closely as we get to the rest of the season and how we see this all play out into the postseason. So, all right, well then, I think it's time to get to Sonoma. And before we do that, I would like to tell you about our friends over at Circa. They think you know ball? Well, then you have to enter Circa's football contest with $21 million in guaranteed prizes. No rake, so if entries go above the guarantee, all extra money is going to go to the prize pool. You cannot beat that at all. Circa Million, you pick 5 teams against the spread each week, or go for the ultimate sweat in Circa Survivor. There's even the Circa Grandissimo. That is a $100,000 Survivor contest. You must register in person at Circa Sportsbook in Nevada, which is, by the way, a great excuse to book yourself a trip to Las Vegas. Sign up in Nevada and play from anywhere with the help of SGPN's official proxy. Go to footballcontest.com and use promo code SGPN to get $50 off of your proxy fees. We're brought to you by MyBookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet on every sport, including the MLB, WNBA, golf, and of course, football futures. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of locations. There's easy deposit and lightning fast payout using cryptocurrency. Head right now to MyBookie.ag, promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply. That's MyBookie.ag, promo code SGPN. Well, Cody, as we sit here getting ready for the weekend, this race, of course, will be on Saturday afternoon, about 4:30 in the Pacific time, so plenty of sunlight in the state of California. and qualifying and all that will be on Friday because obviously no truck series. And it's going to be fun. Obviously, there's a lot of fun to be had watching that race. And we are set for 79 laps around this 1.990 mile road course for 157.210 miles of beautiful California scenery.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Pretty excited. We talked a little bit about Sonoma last week, or yesterday rather, but it's gonna be a little bit different than what we saw last week. The tight turns of the street course. This is more open, more space to do things. We've obviously only seen them here twice, so we only have 2 races to look back on. SVG dominated last year. So John in the chat asking who's going to win this weekend. Well, we're going to get there. We'll definitely talk about it. Wanted to catch up as well. Laura said good evening over in the chat, Rod. JC also hanging out in the chat. So great to see all of you guys over there.
Indeed. All right. What does the entry list look like? Because I know there's a couple of notable names that we are going to be focusing on in a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, there absolutely is. There's 39 entries for 38 spots. So one of the open cars will go home. I mean, there's technically not open cars. There's no charter stuff, but one car will go home in qualifying here. SVG returns in the number 9 car. Of course, he won in that car last week. He'll be back in that number 9 car for Junior Motorsports. Connor Mosak is back in the 14. Corey Day returns, Rod, in the number 17. Interestingly enough, I don't think either of us are talking about Corey Day, mostly because there's no head-to-heads against him. But I find it interesting. He's even money for a top 5 finish, plus 100. But if you want to bet him outright, you can find him at 160 to 1. So I don't know. Those numbers don't seem to line up. But I wouldn't bet either of those anyways. So that is what it is. But that is the 17 car for Hendrick Motorsports. Riley Herbst, he is going to be, listen very closely here, Rod. Riley Herbst is going to be driving the number 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. I just want to let that sink in for a second. Riley Herbst will be in the 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. We'll get back to that in a little bit. And then in the number 70 car is Will Rogers. He is going to be in that Cope family racing vehicle.
So as far as Corey Day is concerned, when I looked at this initially, I was like, okay, the 17, we know that William Byron obviously took this to a second place finish in Austin earlier this year, right? But like his top 3 is wow, really?
Was that just like did 365? I'm going to look it up on Caesars. I saw that on 365. Maybe they just missed a 0 when they were inputting. Maybe supposed to be 1,000 or something, because I don't understand. I mean, I have no interest in betting him. He's been pretty horrible for the most part for what we've seen.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. That's what a point I was going to make too. Is that obviously, the 17 car is going to be
plus
good.
750 on. So I'm guessing 365 meant to put him at 10 to 1 probably, and just missed a 0. But it was just hilarious because you're looking, it's like SVG minus 100,000 million quadrillion for a top 5. And then Connor Zilisch, and then Corey Day, and then you look at the outrights list, and it's like, go all the way to the bottom to find Corey Day. So I'm guessing that was a mistake on 365's part.
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, for me, it was like I was looking at it, and I said, well, okay, he's in the 17. I get it. Yeah, William Byron did good in this, but then, like, he hasn't done well in this car. So I wouldn't bet on him for anything other than...
Yeah, I don't think he's really a road course guy either. Like, comes from a dirt background. He's a big sprint car guy. I don't know that he's got like a bunch of road course prowess anyways. So,
yeah, well, I mean, that's why I said neither one of us are going to be on him. So we're definitely not going to be worrying about that at all. All right, big names in this race, Cody. That makes odds a little bit in our favor for a few folks. And that is what we're after. The hunt for the best bets of the weekend. Cody, what do we got?
Yeah, it's a little tougher of a hunt this week, Rod. We kind of talked about this a little bit before the show, before we came on, but it's pretty rough in the Xfinity streets this week, honestly. Just not a lot of options. And yeah, they got their purse strings kind of tight again. No top 10s. I really hope that this changes. I believe the Xfinity series goes to Dover next week. I should double check on that. They do go to Dover next week. So I'm hoping as we get back to a traditional oval, this is the 3rd week in a row without top 10s. A super speedway and 2 road courses. I'm thinking that's why they did it. So hopefully we'll get back to top 10s next week. But it's definitely getting frustrating. But did find a head-to-head that I like, Rod. and that is Austin Hill over Justin Allgaier, -125 over on Caesars. We all know, right, that Austin Hill is a great road course guy. He's great everywhere. But Justin Allgaier is a pretty good road course guy as well. But not this year. It's not been good for Justin Allgaier. If you look at what he's done this year, Chicago last week, 23rd. That's his best finish of the season on road courses. Mexico, 34th. Coda, 29th. So just not great finishes. Go back to last season, 7th at the Roval, so that was decent, but 17th at Watkins Glen. He was 6th here at Sonoma, so that's notable. 2nd at Portland, 13th at Coda, and then in 23, he was actually 7th here as well. But Austin Hill, Rod, 4th at Chicago, 3rd at Mexico, 4th at Coda, 4th at the Roval. 4 top 4 finishes in a row on road courses. 33rd at Watkins Glen. He did have a rough day there. Allgaier might have finished 6th at Sonoma last year, but Austin Hill finished in 5th place, so one spot ahead of him. He was 11th at Portland, 2nd at Coda last year. And then you go back to the Sonoma race in 2023, and he finished 8th to Allgaier 7th. So both Sonoma races, they've been one spot apart. Each one's gotten to win. But 7 of the last road courses on the schedule have gone the way of Austin Hill. Pretty hard to deny numbers like that. I know Allgaier's having a great season. Things have been good for him. They've really struggled on the road course stuff. And really, he could put together a solid day. He could finish 6th or 7th like he has these previous 2 years. I don't think that's going to be enough for Hill, who we're going to be talking about in just a minute, Saturday. We're getting there. That's the next bet on the thing. But I think he's going to probably be near or inside of the top 5, Rod. Spoiler alert. So I'm going to take Austin Hill over Justin Allgaier, -125. 7 of the last 8. So again, you say if you swing at me 8 times and you've hit me 7, I'm going to duck on the next one. So give me Hill over Allgaier.
And John, I love you, and I love Allgaier even as much as I love you.
Sure.
He can. But the problem is that
but he hasn't.
Yeah, and for Allgaier's sake, I mean, he's already he really is. He is cruising toward the playoffs, and there's no. You
can say it, Rod. He's locked.
Fine, he's locked into the playoffs. Justin Allgaier is, and
he's also got a 49-point lead over Hill and Mayer. Jeez, he's just true. That's gone down because of Mexico and Chicago, but it's been a hell of a lead.
No, it really has. And then that's the thing. Like, these guys, they're not going to take any unnecessary chances to try to do. They'll just probably split, the stages and do the things they need to do for a nice solid finish. Whereas Hill, you got to think that he's pretty hungry at this point too. So.
Yeah, and to TK's point too, Hill even got a 9th in the Cup last week at Chicago. He did have a great run over there in the 33 car, the extra RCR entry. So he's been hitting on all cylinders on road courses lately. So I think he'll win out in this head-to-head.
I concur. Okay, fine. So we'll fade one JRM driver, but I will embrace another one, and that is Carson Kvapil. He's in a head-to-head over Nicholas Sanchez, -105 over on Caesars. I'll take the Kvapil side of this one. And honestly, it's not so much that, he is as good as Connor Zilisch on road courses, although we have seen him hang quite nicely with the likes of Zilisch and some of these other front runners on road courses. But the thing about Nick Sanchez this year is that, look, overall, a 17th place average finish for him. Yes, he's coming off of a 5th place in Chicago, and that's great, right? But we also know that Chicago race had a lot going on. And Nick Sanchez, he hung tight. He did win Atlanta. That's great. But before that, in Austin, he finished in 24th place. In Mexico City, he finished in 31st place. So the two real, road courses that we were talking about, road course / street courses, he has bad finishes on. Whereas Carson Kvapil, rather. This is like calling your wife by another name. It's not right. Carson Kvapil, on the other hand, did finish one spot better than Nick Sanchez in Coda. He finished 23rd. But then you also look at Mexico City, where he finished 19th, and then in Chicago, where he finished 16th. A couple of bad finishes. Not bad, but, bad enough. I still think that this equipment that Carson Kvapil is driving is much better than what Nick Sanchez is driving, and I think for Nick Sanchez, like I said, it's just a rough go for him. He has found some footing, but this is Sonoma. This is a much different animal. And traditionally on road courses, even in the Truck Series, right, and the Xfinity Series, they just haven't been necessarily all that kind to Nick Sanchez either. So, I basically think that this is going to be a much better equipment battle for Carson Kvapil. He's got the teammate in Connor Zilisch that he's going to be able to hang with and to, hopefully, and again, we saw it in Coda, right? He was hanging with his buddies out there before he got hung out there late in the race, and I think he probably should have had a much better finish at Coda, which is really the comparison that you should take more than Mexico City and Chicago, because it is a kind of a true one-to-one road course versus road course type of a situation. And if we're considering those, Kvapil did get him by one spot in Coda, and I think he can do it by a little bit more than one coming into Sonoma.
Yeah, the chat's doubting you a little bit, Rod. Sour D says, I don't know, Sanchez very, very sneaky. Laura over on the YouTube now, she said, I think Nick Starr might be rising. Coming off a 5th place finish at Chicago, locked himself into the playoffs with a win at Atlanta, Rod. Things have been looking up for Nick here lately. Kvapil, the only problem with Kvapil is he doesn't always put it together, but we know he's a talented race car driver, and he should have a good race this weekend as well.
Yeah, and again, it's minus 105, so this isn't like this is a big, gigantic underdog swing. It's, in fact, he is the lower of the two, and I just feel like just a little bit better shot for him to beat him this week. And maybe because the star is rising, this is the opportunity for Nick's chances to kind of, slip up a little bit. And again, we're not talking about Nick being a terrible driver this week. I think Kvapil will be a little bit better.
There you go. I like it. You know who's a little bit better, Rod? Austin Hill. Top 5 is at 2-1. I just read you all the stats, right? 4th place at Chicago, 3rd place at Mexico, 4th place at Cody. He's 3 for 3, finishing inside the top 5 so far this year. 4th at the Roval last year, 5th here at Sonoma last year, 2nd at Coda last year. So 3 of the 5 road courses last year inside of the top 5 as well. 8th place here in 23, so he was close. And so far this season, we've had 18 races. In 9 of those races, he's finished inside of the top 5. In 12 of 18, he's finished inside of the top 7. He has been really, really close to the top 5 just about each and every single week. He cashed us last week. He finished top 10 in the Cup Series race last week at Chicago as well. Firing on all cylinders right now. So taking him overall guy with my first bet, taking his top 5 at 2-1 with my second bet.
Yeah, again, for Austin Hill, this is just one of those races where I think this has to be one where they put it together. They can't mess around anymore, right? They've got to make this push in and really just solidify themselves, because it feels like they've kind of fell off, right? I mean, they're dominant early and then they just kind of fall off a little bit. And yeah, he needs to reassert himself to get back in the conversation, because honestly, you see the guys like, well, SVG is obviously not going to be in the postseason with them, but the Allgaiers of the world and even some of these other guys like his teammate Jesse Love might start making a name as well too later on. So yeah, he's got to reinsert himself into the conversation. This is a good place to do it. So love that. Speaking of
plus 220 if you have the 365 for JDK pointing out.
Ooh, God, there. For what it's worth, obviously there's not a lot of selections, but there's actually some good numbers on these selections. So while there might not be plentiful, the quality of them is actually not all that bad. So we have lighter cards this week, and that's really because there's not a lot of options, but that's all right. We'll take advantage of the value that they're giving us. And one of the values that they're giving us is Christian Eckes. Group B over on Caesars, and I'll talk about him a little bit too more later in just a second, but look, I'm going to take Eckes to win Group B on Caesars, 3-1. He is occupied in that group by Sammy Smith, Taylor Gray, and Jesse Love. You know how much I love Love. You know how much I love. We're all shifties here, right? We love them. Taylor Gray. Sammy Smith, the favorite for this one? I don't know. But I will say that if you look at the Austin road race that was earlier this year in Coda, right? Christian Eckes beat them all. He beat them all by a couple of spots, but he still beat them all. Christian Eckes, 5th place finish at Coda earlier this season, beating Jesse Love and Taylor Gray, who finished 6th and 7th. So, again, really, that's the only one that you're sort of scared of. Sammy Smith did come in 11th, and that's fine. That's, that happens every once in a while. But for me, like I said, Christian Eckes, that's 16. If the 16 were a self-driving car, I feel like it would know its way to victory lane, because AJ Allmendinger took that 16 car into victory lane more times on a road course than any other Xfinity driver in the history of the world. Christian Eckes shaping up to be that kind of a driver, right? And this is no knock on Love. This is no knock on Taylor. This is no knock This is no knock on Taylor and but it's really not. Yeah, you notice how Sammy Smith I kind of brushed over, but no, honestly, this is just me feeling like Christian Eckes is a guy that is going to be able to get back into the top 5 on this track. And like I said, I'll make a stronger case for that later. But yeah, I think he's strong enough to beat all these guys like he did in Coda, and I think he could do it again. Not a lot of history, obviously, in the Xfinity Series for young Christian Eckes. But, in the Truck Series, he had 10 road course starts, 5 top 10s, 2 top 5s in his career. So I think he can get it done this week and beat all the other drivers in Group B. He is the long shot of that one at 3-1.
Yeah, the fact that he's the long shot, I think, is what makes me like him. It's a tough group in the fact that all these guys can pop up. And Sour D mentioned Sammy Smith. He's low-key electric on road courses, he said. He does have bright spots for sure. He's a guy we've tried betting on over the years, and it's not gone well ever. So it seems like we just try to avoid him because he can be unpredictable, which you like having against him in the group bet. Taylor Gray, I'm going to make a case for him a little bit as a longer shot, but the consistency is not quite there. And then I know you love Jesse Love, so if you're picking against him, I don't think we can question that, Rod.
It was very difficult for me because I wanted to find an angle on Love, and I was like, I don't, top 5s. Again, top 5s is all we get. So we're putting like 6 guys in the top 5, so it's mathematically impossible outside of Shane van Gisbergen, who is mathematically almost impossible. You can bet Shane van Gisbergen. Don't go, Rod, you can bet at any number. Yeah, you can, but would you want to? I mean, anything can happen. You get spun out and the world ends, and now you're out of a ton of money because you had the lock of the lock of the lock and it didn't work. But just couldn't find an angle on Love, unfortunately. My bad.
Okay, that's how it goes.
It is. All right. We'll be back with more of our bets, but I want to take this opportunity to tell you about Underdog Best Ball Mania. It's happening all summer long, giving away $15 million in prizes, including $2 million to first place. No waiver wire, no arguments about trades. Best Ball is the best way to play fantasy football. Underdog also is a great place to pay pick'em, and we've been giving you all of our pick'ems all season long for Underdog, and we're going to continue to do so, especially in Sonoma. I'll have a special Sonoma video for you, giving you all my favorite Underdog plays for this particular race, and you can check that out on the YouTubes, on my Twitter, and all that other good stuff. But in the meantime, sign up with our promo code RACESGPN. You're going to claim a special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. You have heard us talk about Rhythm before, and they just dropped a game-changing feature called Power Trends. Essentially the best of what their house model has to offer. Their AI-detected patterns where Rhythm's model has consistently won and has a high ROI. Think a strikeout prop that wins 59% of the time when the line and win probability hit a certain range. Power Trends are updated daily and exclusive to Rhythm. No touts, no noise, just clean data-backed bets. MLB Power Trends are 254 and 147. That's a win rate of 63% and an ROI of 4.5% in their past 400 bets. Not good at math, but that sounds like really damn good numbers. WNBA Power Trends, 35 and 20 since the launch, 63.64% win rate, 20.7 ROI. You got to download the Rhythm app. Check out the Power Trends and start betting smarter. You know that we will be. Get your 7-day free trial today. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That is some staggering statistics. And speaking of fantasy football, I will say that we were lucky enough, and I think we've said this before, but we were lucky enough to get paired together in the Hendrick Motorsports division of the Scott Fish Bowl. And I got to say, shout out to those guys. That draft has gone swimmingly, first and foremost. And I think we're going to have some real fun in that league this year.
Yeah, seem like some great guys over there, and it's cooking along. The draft picks are rolling in nice and quickly, which is I like to be able to draft quickly. I get the slow clock, and you don't want to rush people. You want to give them their time, but I like when the picks come in fast and it gets to my pick quicker. So that's always fun, Rod. Nick checking in over in the chat says Buescher or Allmendinger wins on Sunday. Make sure you go back and listen to yesterday's show and get our thoughts on the Cup Series race. JC wants to know if we like qualifying before or if we like betting before or after qualifying or both. It's been a hot topic lately, Rod. Mm-hmm. Obviously, our shows are pre-practice and qualifying. That's how things work, right? in this, it gives time for it to sit out there for you to be able to listen when you can. We're busy on the weekends and things, and sometimes, especially Xfinity, it's small windows, right? A lot of times they qualify in the morning. You got to wait for the odds to come up. There's only so much time. But both, you should each week. Well, not so much super speedways. I don't think you change anything on super speedways because qualifying practice means nothing at all. But I think that you should reserve some of your budget for post-race stuff. I generally like to get a lot of my bets in pre-qualifying. I'd like to trust in the research that we do and the stats and the trends that we find and are able to corner. But I'd listen to other people. I listen to Full Tank with Phil. He does great stuff over there. There's some other people as well that listen to, read their thoughts on stuff and can influence me in making other bets. And then, of course, when we do see practice and qualifying, it's not the gospel, right? Denny Hamlin started, 36th last week and finished in the top 5. And McDowell starts up front and finishes in the back, right? It's not exactly always how it goes. Bubba Wallace super fast in qualifying, not good in the race, those types of things. But you can definitely get things from it. Lines move and shift. A lot of times you can get a number early in the week that you won't get later. Sometimes you can't get a number early in the week that you will get later. So it's just trying to balance both things, I think, is definitely good. And of course, if you're over in the Discord, people will drop their picks and things that they like as well. And we'll try and give our input where we can as well.
And that is the fine line that we walk, too, because we are trying to identify what we think is the best value. We'll tell you, too, grab this now because it's not going to stay this way for a while. And we're already talking about people moving lines. And honestly, too, JC, if you're there, too, in the Discord, there's live bets going all the way. So I would say a third up your unit tally because you're going to want to put some live bets in, too, as the race goes on if you're able to.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing too, like everybody has different options in different places, right? Some people aren't able to bet on certain things. Some people it's other things. I have to wait till later in the week for a lot of things here where I'm at. It all depends. I don't really have the ability to live bet generally where I'm at. So I don't play as much into the live betting game, but a lot of people do. So all that kind of plays into it. And speaking of getting in early, JDK just looked at Bet365 and Austin Hill's already down to plus 160. And I noticed we talked yesterday about McDowell plus 750. You can still get that over on 365, at least earlier when I checked. But on Caesars, it's down to plus 350 now and plus 450 at DraftKings when I know Caesars was at least plus 750 as well earlier in the week. So it's a little bit of everything, right? And yeah, if you go to the Discord, Sour D's been giving out his picks. He's got SVG top 5 Xfinity minus 1,500. I think he parlayed that with Messi to have 2 shots on goal, like minus 3,000, and then something about the Yankees to get a hit at like minus 4,000. So he's giving out some great winners over there, Rod.
That's why our Discord is the smartest people in the entire world, and that's why we love them to death. But all right, Cody, let's continue down our card.
I told you earlier in the show, but I forgot already. Which car is Riley Herbst racing in this week?
Oh, I had this on memory. 19 for Joe Gibbs Racing.
It's not the Sam Hunt car. It's not shitty. It's the 19 for Joe Gibbs Racing. So a full-time Cup guy is going to be in this race. One of only 2 full-time Cup guys in this race, in one of the fastest cars in the field, and he's plus 750 for a top 5. Okay, interesting. Riley Herbst, I'm under no illusions that he's some road course ace, right? He's not a big, great road course guy, but he's a Cup guy coming down. Rod, let me take you back to the inaugural Xfinity Series race here back in 2023. Time winningest driver in the history of the Xfinity Series on road courses. We had guys like Kyle Larson, some would say, myself included, greatest race car driver in the world currently. Tyrone Gibbs was in this race. Pretty fucking good road course guy. Guys like Austin Hill and Sam Mayer. John Hunter Nemechek was in this race. Some pretty big names, right? You'd expect all of those guys to have a pretty good shot at winning this race. But instead, Cup guy, Eric Almirola, not known for road course racing, comes down in a Ryan Sieg racing car. That's right. The number 39 car, their team, it was the number 28. Eric Almirola comes down, leads 17 laps, wins this race, kind of steals it at the end, and just blew everybody's mind. He was like 200-1 to win because nobody saw it coming. Nobody expected it. Riley Herbst doesn't have to do that, although the number he's at to win, I'd like to see that as well. But for a top 5 finish for a Cup guy in a super fast car at plus 750, it just doesn't line up. And again, under no illusions, he's great. And if you look back at his road course stuff, it's been hit or miss. He had a 15th place run in the Cup Series race last week at Chicago. He's been doing pretty decent over there, minding his P's and Q's. He did start at Coda earlier this year, a 13th place finish, so it's not going to cash it for you, right? 32nd at the Roval last year, 13th at Watkins Glen, 13th at Sonoma. But he's got some good finishes in there. A 10th place at Portland. He finished 5th at Road America back in 2023, 4th at the Roval in 2023, 10th place at Coda, 6th place at Indianapolis Road Course in 2022. So he's got some decent runs. He can pop up and do it. At plus 750, again, not a ton of great options out there when it comes to the Xfinity Series this week. For a Cup guy stepping back down into the Xfinity Series in one of the fastest cars out there, shouldn't be plus 750 for a top 5. So give me Riley Herbst top 5 plus 750.
Yeah, I told you earlier before when we jumped on, I was looking at that one and I thought, nah, but you're right. I mean, I think the 19 carries a lot of weight. I think there's just something to be said about Riley Herbst, especially top 5. Like we're not talking straight up winning. We're just talking top 5. And for top 5, I can totally get down on that.
Yeah, and TK pointing out both of the 2025 Cup quote-unquote rookies are in this race because SVG and Riley Herbst is the big rookie battle we have going on. Okay, just kidding. Maybe it's not really much of a battle, but those are the 2 qualifying rookie drivers in the Cup Series this year.
Both on the same team, by the way, in that. So love it. All right, so Pochters and Henry was talking about the fact that Eckes' numbers so short this week. I don't know how short is because I've got Eckes as a top 5 car at now it's plus 425. I double checked because I wanted to make sure. It was 450 when I put the doc together earlier. Now it's a plus 425. So all you guys betting Christian Eckes, stop for now and then let everybody else catch up and then get down on it. But yeah, Eckes top 5 is a plus 425 now over on ESPN Bet. That was the best number I found out there. I mean, look, we just talked about it earlier, right? In Coda, he comes out with a 5th place finish, and that's fantastic. Turns out and has a 4th place finish in Mexico City a couple of weeks ago, and then 15th in Chicago. But again, a lot of that stuff in Chicago, there was so much craziness and nastiness and just danger on every corner for everybody around. And, I talked about him earlier when we were talking about him to win the group over Love, Smith, and I don't even remember who else was in that group anymore. But anyways, to win the group, right? And he's just one of those guys where that 16 car and that Colleague team, they absolutely know road course racing. And they took SVG, right, at last year. He was in Colleague equipment last year, and they ended up winning this one. So, yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to say that he is going to win this race. As much as I want him to win this race, I feel like he's probably it'd look good to have the 16 back in victory lane on a road course. But I think for him to come out and actually do well like he did in Coda earlier this season, that is not out of the realm of possibility. And like I said, if he gets a 5th place finish, I think that's going to be good enough to beat the likes of Sammy Smith, Love, and Taylor Gray. So, yeah, I mean, you got to combine it all for him. 425 for a top 5 for a guy that was a top 5 at a road course earlier this season. Like Pochters and Henry said, love it, Rod. I love it too.
Yeah, I love it as well. Fully endorse this one. I was going to play it, but you beat me to the dock, put it in there before I had a chance to grab it. So, yeah, I love this play. We've seen enough out of Eckes so far this week, or this year, rather, in the Xfinity Series. And, we've talked about him in previous weeks on road courses. You go back and look at his truck stuff. He was pretty good on road courses there as well. So, yeah, I fully endorse this one and love this play also.
Beautiful stuff. All right, where are we going next?
Well, Rod, I wish we could get those fucking top 10s, but since we can't, we'll go back to Austin Green top 5, who would have cashed the top 10 last week had we had the opportunity to bet on him. But, that's how it goes. His top 5 is moved down to 11-1 this week. Don't care. I'm playing it again. We saw it last week. He is good on these road courses, a 9th place finish from him. We saw it back at Mexico City as well, where he finished in 7th. Did have a rough day at Coda, But you go back to this race last year, Rod, he finished in the 4th place. A top 5, did cash on this track last year. So we know he can do it. He started 22nd too. So, this could be a case of if he doesn't start well, don't give up on him. He has the opportunity to potentially finish good no matter where he starts. And yeah, we saw it from him last year, right? 11th at Watkins Glen, 10th at Chicago, 7th at Cody. He's had some really good runs on the road courses. He's a guy we've been on literally since his first career start. We're going to keep betting him every time because guess what? We had the top 5 on him last year at Sonoma because we couldn't get top 10s at that point in time. So we bet it and he cashed it for us, right? So that alone's been paying for all these other times we bet on him. And he's a guy that just keeps getting close. He's in the mix. They always bring him up on the broadcast. Oh, look how good Austin Green's doing. Yeah, let's get him in a good car for once would be really nice. But I don't care because he's making do with what he has. He's already done it at this track, 1 for 1, getting the top 5. And we saw again last week, he's going to be in contention for a top 5 at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's funny because when you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, haha, Austin Green, that's cute and everything, 11-1, and then you start digging in the stats and you're like, well, this is actually highly possible because a lot like super speedways kind of bring a little bit of that air of uncertainty. So do road courses. As much as we say that road courses can sometimes be a little bit predictable, there's so much that goes into just wadding up that bunch of cars into the first turn, or like I said, that hairpin turn can take somebody out in an instant. And then now here you are and you're green as a top 5 car at 11-1. Absolutely love it. Love taking the long shot on him as well. All right. My next bet is going to be Sam Mayer, the sneaky good road course guy. He's going to look a top 3 for Sam Mayer is at plus 325 over on Hard Rock. And I absolutely love this number for Sam Mayer because he did this last year. In 2024, Sam Mayer finished in 3rd place in Sonoma in the 1 car, right? I know it's a junior motorsports car. I get that. I fully understand it. But now he's in that Haas equipment car. And we know he hasn't really missed a beat this year. He's actually been a pretty decent driver, right? He's got 11 top 10 finishes in 18 starts, 8 top 5s in that span as well. Finished 8th place in Chicago last week. Mexico City was rough for him. He finished 23rd, but he did start 6th. So there was actually speed in that car as well. But earlier at Coda, where did Sam Mayer cross the finish line? In 3rd place. So Sam Mayer, again, one of those guys where last season especially we were talking about, it was Sam Mayer, it was Justin Allgaier, or it's Austin Hill, right? It's these guys all battling up front for, for road courses and everything like that. So, plus 325 for a guy that just finished 3rd place earlier in the season. I like that. And you look at his road course prowess, like I said, Road America, he won the race 2 years ago in the 1 car after starting 5th. At Coda, 3rd place earlier this year, 9th place, 7th place, 5th place. No finishes outside of the top 10 at Coda. So definitely a good road course racer is Sam Mayer. JDK pointing out that I'm not fast than Xfinity Mobile right now. And I'm not. I don't know what it is about my internet today. It's tired. And I think it's like its owner. It's just a little tired.
Aren't we all, Rod? Aren't we all? But that's okay. We're making it through anyways. I love Sam Mayer, another guy that I'm always on when it comes to road courses. And I think you got a good number here. Speaking of Sam Mayer, Rod, let's head over to the outright market. Look, SVG is a big favorite in this one. We talked about this last week on this show. We talked about this yesterday on this show. This is the one where you bet SVG, and I think the number is small enough in the right places, right? He's minus 150 a few places. We're getting up there. But MGM, at least prior to the show, had him at minus 125. That's a number I'm fine taking. I think that this is the race of the two you put it on, right? Last week we parlayed both. The number's not big enough this week, I don't think, to parlay both. I feel like the race is not going to be as easy as everybody's making it out to be for him. I think that he probably will win it, but I think that's going to be a different conversation, right? We talked about that a lot yesterday, but in this race, it's going to be him versus Zilisch, and the only thing I would be scared of is after the way he used up Zilisch last week, Zilisch could use him back up, and that's why we have the insurance plays, right? We're going to get to those in a second, but I'm fine going all in on SVG, minus 125 on BetMGM. I think that he is the right play. We've seen what he did here last year. We've seen what he did at Chicago. We've seen what he did everywhere else he gets in the car. He had, 3 or 4 Xfinity wins on road courses last year. He's just damn good, and, less so in this series than the Cup Series, just not people that can run with him. I think the only person who can really run with him here is Connor Zilisch, and so I'm picking SVG in that lineup. I'll take him at minus 125. Then I think, of course, because things happen like Eric Almirola winning here 2 years ago in this very race when Larson and Gibbs and Allmendinger and all those guys were in the field, I think that things can go wrong. I think Zilisch is not going to be scared this week, Rod, and that does scare me a little bit. And if they take each other out, it's wide open. Sam Mayer at 18-1 on BetMGM. I absolutely love that. You just made a strong case for him. Baby SVG, maybe not baby SVG. Baby AJ Allmendinger is what we called him just a couple of years ago. Tons of wins on road courses. I think he's got 4 in the Xfinity Series now. And he's just in the mix each and every single week. If suddenly SVG and Zilisch are out of this race, Mayer's going to be right there ready to pounce. So I like him. Taylor Gray, 55-1. That's right. I'm on him. Rod, I know you talked bad about him earlier. I'll forgive you for that. But second place in Mexico City, 2, Daniel Suarez. He was right there. Zilisch had trouble in that race. Ty Gibbs had trouble in that race. Right there, ready to pounce. He was right behind Suarez at the end of the day. And 7th place at Coda. So 2 good runs there. Things did not go good for him last week at Chicago. Going to throw that out. Bad start, bad finish. Fine. But at 55-1 for a guy who's already proven he can put himself in position, I like that. That's what I'm looking for. And then Rod, I don't know what's going on today. I can't remember. Can you remind me what car Riley Herbst is in this week?
If my internet holds up, yes. He's in the 19 of Joe Gibbs.
The 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing with a Cup Series driver is 100-1 on BetMGM. Can I remind you, Eric Almirola won this race 2 years ago in an RSS car, not known for road course racing. Insane not to bet Riley Herbst at 100-1. I don't care if he comes out and runs 30th all fucking day. Don't at me because I don't give a fuck. He's 100-1. You have to place a bet like this. This in a Cup guy in this good of a car. There's enough things that can go wrong, and we just saw it at this race in particular 2 years ago when Almirola did it in that 28 car. Insane to me to have him priced at this kind of number.
Yeah, honestly, that's what we were talking about too. Like 100-1 for the 19, that seems a little bit far. I get it that Riley Herbst's not really known for his road course abilities. However, the equipment's good enough. He was still a damn good Xfinity driver when he was down. It's not like he was sucked as an Xfinity driver. He was a pretty good one. We're talking about him quite a bit for top 5s last season. So, yeah, I like that as well. SVG, obviously, sometimes you gotta eat that chalk and hope it's the right flavor for you for that one as well. SVG is showing Connor Zilisch some tough love, says Denver Thurston. And also SVG got some supercars tricks that Connor Zilisch won't like and probably won't like it, but learn it the hard way and keep it into his repertoire set, which is exactly why I think that Connor Zilisch at plus 150 is a fantastic insurance play, especially on FanDuel. Look, he finished second in Chicago, right? Obviously, he won at Coda earlier this year. Connor Zilisch is one of those guys that, top 5 in Mexico City after starting on the pole. Here's the thing, for me, Connor Zilisch learned a lot last week. And that team learned a lot last week of what it's going to take to beat SVG, right? There was a lot of strategy stuff going on. There was a lot of cat and mouse that was happening. And I'm sure that they went back and watched the tape and said, all right, this is where we lost the race. You don't think that if he's in that same position this time around, he's going to know exactly what it's going to take to hold off SVG? Because honestly, Cody, I think he's a talented enough driver to do it. I think Connor Zilisch is talented enough to hold off Shane van Gisbergen. But the problem is, obviously, he's got a lot more tricks up his sleeve, and he's got a lot more driving experience, does SVG, than Connor Zilisch. But, that gap closes up quickly when you start showing, and I'm sure there's stuff SVG hasn't shown yet that he's going to probably bust out at some point. But, for all rights and accounts, this is a world now where you can go back to the tape and you can learn a lot from watching the tape. They drive it in sims. They'll throw situations at you. It's something that Connor Zilisch has probably spent all week knowing that he's going to get back to a left and right turn track, just preparing for. And I think you give that kid that much time to prep for an opponent like SVG. Plus 150, considering SVG's at minus 125, is a really good value for that.
Yeah, pick your poison between the two, right? Do you want SVG at minus 125? Do you want Zilisch at this price? Pick one and run with it. I love Zilisch. I think he's great. I think he is probably the one who can hang with SVG. But, man, I'm giving SVG the edge every time at this point in time. Someday, eventually, SVG's not going to be here. He's already older, right? And I heard Dale Jr. talk about this, but it's going to be Zilich's time, and he is going to be potentially the guy atop even the Cup Series when it comes to road courses. And learning all these tricks from SVG now is going to be so useful to him later on. I'm picking SVG in this battle, but hard to argue too much with you on your case for Zilisch as well. Dylan was checking in and wants to know where you parlay winners because it never lets him when he tries. Different books have different rules. Caesars, I know you can for sure. I think DraftKings doesn't let you do it. I don't think 365 does either. Maybe I can't. I know Caesars does for sure. That's where I've done it. I think MGM might. You'll have to just play around on the different sports, but yeah, I think that Caesars is the one that I know for sure will allow you to.
Indeed. Nico saying, damn, man, I tried to tell my manager not to schedule meetings at the same time when the NSGP goes live. Never listen. Sorry, Nico. But we did spread a lot of love to your to the Kiwi over there in SVG.
Good thing is you can go back and listen still, so it's okay.
Go listen to the audio. I'm thinking this video maybe not be usable. Sorry to you guys watching on YouTube right now. Apparently my internet is tired, like I said. JC saying they could just release marbles in the SVG pit stall during stage breaks. That would be fun too. Trampled by Squirtle said, is it safe to assume Zilly will be dominating NASCAR for 5 years? The guy's figuring out ovals fast. Yeah, I mean, not bad.
Safe to assume I'd pump the brakes on that. You could have said the same thing about Ty Gibbs a couple of years ago, dominating everything in Xfinity. Then he gets a ride in the Gibbs car. Like, it takes time. Adjusting to the Cup Series takes time, and some guys pick it up quicker than others. We've seen Hocevar do pretty good, although he hasn't won yet. But Zilisch is going to be a very good driver. Trackhouse is still a bit questionable, especially on ovals. You know, can they bring the same type of stuff that a Gibbs type of team or a Hendrick type of team brings every week? Safe to assume he's going to dominate. Is he going to be really good? Is he the next coming? Yes, absolutely. I believe all those things. But dominate, I'd probably pump the brakes a little bit on that.
You ready for a bold statement? I believe Connor Zilisch will get his first Cup Series win before either Ty Gibbs or Carson Hocevar.
Well, I mean, really, I don't know that that's that crazy of a take because of the road course aspect, although SVG throws kind of a wrench into that. But I would take the Gibbs, and I will take Gibbs and Hocevar both get a win in the Cup Series before Zilisch does, Rob.
Write it down, all you scribes out there in Discord world. I want this bet to be marked in stone. That way when we come back.
The SpongeBob meme 7 years later.
Yeah, right. We're still
waiting on one side of this to cash.
I wouldn't surprise me at all. All right, get out your pen and paper. It's time to go over our bets for this Pit Boss FoodMaxx 250 from Sonoma Raceway. I started you out with Carson Kvapil over Nick Sanchez at minus 105. I took Eckes to win Group B at plus 300. I also took Eckes as a top 5 car. That is now down to 425, so you may want to grab that somewhere before it even goes farther down. I took Sam Mayer as a top 3 car at plus 450, and Connor Zilisch, if he can beat SVG to win this race. Cody gave you Austin Hill over Justin Allgaier at minus 125. He also gave you Austin Hill as a top 5 car at 2-1. Riley Herbst as a top 5 car at plus 750. Austin Green as a top 5 car at 11-1. Daniel Suarez is not a top 10 car. Holy cow. Get that out of there. Maybe he can drive through and be a top 5 car later, but that snuck into the graphics. Sorry. Shane van Gisbergen to win at -125. Sam Mayer at 18-1. Taylor Gray at 55-1 and Riley Herbst at 100-1 to win this race. Boy, I tell you, I was
pretty sad that we both looked at that and neither one of us got that it was in there.
Like I said, man, this is already been. So when I came back from my week extended away, it just when you get back settled in, sometimes it's hard to get settled back in. But all right, you don't need a pen and paper; you can remember it all. Good job, JC. I love that as well.
You got it.
Dylan also thinks that he'll definitely be winning before Gibbs. So good. Laura saying big prediction written down. Thank you, Laura. Should have known.
Laura's going to be our scorekeeper on that one.
Yeah, she will. We don't need it because when Connor Zilisch wins in a couple of weeks, then we're going to be all excited about it, and then I'll be. Yeah, dancing.
I have the advantage of at least my two sides. It has to be both of them winning, right? But at least they're running in the Cup Series every week, so that could be helpful.
Never said that wasn't a caveat, but. All right, Cody. Well, let's put this episode to bed as it probably wants to go, and tomorrow I'll come back with a much stronger either internet connection or computer connection.
Go unplug your router for a little bit, Rod. Give it a break.
God, the thing's it's heating up over here in California, so I'm pretty sure that the lines can't keep up with the heat. But all right, well then, Cody, let's go ahead and send this one away and remind everybody where they can find you in the meantime.
Yeah, follow me over on the X Rod at Husker_Z. You can find all of my stuff over there. 32 teams. I did 3 best bets for all of them. That's my pinned tweet over there. You can go check out each team individually. Check out all of them if you'd like. MVP odds are up. Got a bit of a long shot guy that I kind of like throwing a little bit of shot on. So I got that article up over there as well. Make sure you check it out. We'll be back tomorrow for some DFS talk. I believe we're scheduled for 4:30 Eastern time, 1:30 Pacific time, Rod. So if you'd like to join us live, be here around that time, and we'll see you then.
Indeed. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez, but maybe not for the next 24 hours because I'm going to be asleep along with my computer. I think we all need a chance to take a deep breath. But when I come back, I'll have a bunch of my fun stuff. And, of course, this weekend from the Sonoma Raceway, I'll be posting all kinds of great content for you guys to enjoy. And then, of course, join the Discord where there'll be more. Back tomorrow with DFS, like Cody said. And in the meantime, we love you very, very much. Thanks for hanging with us through all of the technical difficulties. And until next time, let's go racing and let it ride.